see that option of.
No.
Yeah, you'll have to make Prabhu.
Okay, let's start. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhakti Bhavati Nashtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter number 1. We will read 3 verses today, 25, 26, and 27. Do you want me to raise my hand so you can see me?
Yes, Mataji, if you could.
I don't know how to. It's okay.
That's all
okay.
right, Mataji.
Can you see?
Okay. Yes. Just a minute.
How do you pull it down now? Okay, Vijay Kumari Mataji, if you have the verse 25 in front of you, you could read it, please.
Okay, Mataji.
There you are, Mataji.
Thank you.
Atmitret Majishwaha Yatna Bahu Mahavira Hiranya Redo Krita Prishta Shavana Meda Didividi Hotra Kavaya Iri Sharva Evakni Namanaha Hare Krishna. 25th, I finished, madam. I do next 20.
No, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, maybe 2 more devotees can read. Shubha Rao Prabhu, would you like to read verse 25?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danda Pranam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Agni Dretma Jihva Yajna Bahu Mahavira Hiranya Reto Gruta Prishta Savanamedati Viti Hotra Kavaya Iti Sarva Eva Agni Namanaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Chitra Mohini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Agnidve idmajiha yajna bahu mahavira hiranya reto vruta prushta savanamedati viti hotra kavaya iti sarva eva agninamana. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Krishna. Madhumai Krishna Kant Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Agnidra Idmajihva Yajna Bahu Mahavira Hiranya Reto Gruta Prushta Savana Medatiti Viti Hotra Kavaya Iti Sarvayeva Agni Namanaha. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Anjali Mataji. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Agnidra idma jiva yajna bahu mahavira hiranya reto druta prishta savana medhaditi viti hotra kavi iti sarva eva agni namanaha. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Krishna. Agnidhra. Atma. I'm sorry. Idhma jiva. Yajna bahu. Mahavir. Hiranya reta. Grita prashtha. Savan. Medha tithi. Vitihotra, Kavayaha, and Kavi, Iti, thus, Sarve, all these, Eva, certainly. Agni, of the Hare Krishna, demigod controlling fire, Nam Naham, names. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The 10 sons of Maharaj Priyavrat were named Agnidhar, Idma Jiva, Yajna Bahu, Mahavir, Hiranya, Reta, Griha, Grita, Prishtha, Savan, Meda, Tithi, Vitihotra, and Kavi. These are also names of Agni, the fire god. Okay, verse 26. Srinivas Rao Prabhu, would you like to read? Srinivas Rao Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय एतेषां कविर्महावीरः सवन इति त्रय आससन्नुर्ध्वरेतसस्त आत्मविद्यायम् आर्भभावादरभ्य कृतपरिचयः पारमांस्य मेवाश्रम अमभजन् हरे
Thank you.
कृष्ण
Prafulla Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय एतेषां कविर्महावीर सवन इति त्रयासन ऊर्ध्व रेतस त आत्मविदयम् अर्भभवाद् आरभ्य कृत परिचय परमहंसम् एव श्रीमम् अभजन् हरे कृष्ण माता जी हरे कृष्ण माता जी
Okay, Etesam of these Kavi, Kavi, Mahavir, Savana, Iti thus Trayaha, three Ashan were Urdhva Retasaha, completely celibate. They, Krishna, they, Atma Vidyayam, in transcendental knowledge, Arbha Bhavat, from childhood, Arabhya, beginning, Krita Parichayaha, very well versed, Paramahansayam, of the highest spiritual perfection of human life, Eva, certainly, Ashramam, the order, Abhajan, executed. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Shabbat Ki Jai. Three among these 10, namely Kavi, Mahavir, and Savan, lived in complete celibacy. Thus trained in brahmachari life from the beginning of childhood, they were very conversant with the highest perfection. Okay. Oh, sorry, Hare Krishna. Highest perfection known as the Paramhansa Ashram, purported by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Shabbat Ki Jai. The word Urdhva Retasaha in this verse is very significant. Urdhva Retas refers to one who can control sex life and who, instead of wasting semen by discharging it, can use this most important substance accumulated in the body to enrich the brain. One who can completely control sex life is able to work wonderfully with his brain, especially in remembering. The students who simply hear Vedic instructions once from their teacher could remember them verbatim without needing to read books, which therefore did not exist in former times. Another significant word is Arbha Bhavat, which means from very childhood. Another meaning is from being very Krishna, I'm so sorry. From being very affectionate to children. In other words, Paramahansa life is dedicated for the benefit of others. Just as a father sacrifices many things out of affection for his son, great saintly persons sacrifice all kinds of bodily comforts for the benefit of human society. In this connection, there is a verse concerning the six Goswami. Tyakta turnam ashesha mandala patishanim sada tuchhavat bhutva dina ganesha kau karunaya kapina kanthashritau. Because of their compassion for the poor fallen souls, the six Goswamis gave up their exalted positions as ministers and took vows as mendicants, thus minimizing their bodily wants as far as possible. They each accepted only a loincloth and a begging bowl. Thus, they remained in Vrindavan to execute the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by compiling and publishing various Vaishnava literatures. Okay, verse 27. So, who has not read any verse so far, can please raise your hand to read this verse. Not if you have not read anything so far. I don't know if I'm audible or not. Surekha Mataji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavata Pranam. Tasmin nuhava upashamashīlaha paramarshaya sakala jīvana nikāya vāsasya bhagavato vāsudevasya bhītānam sharanabhūtasya śrīmaccaranaраvinda vitarasmarana viga litaparama bhakti yoganubhavena परिभावितान्तर्हृदयाद्धिगते भगवती सर्वेषां भूतानाम् आत्मभूते प्रत्यगात्मन्येवात्मनस्तादात्म अवशिषेण समीयुः। हरे कृष्ण। प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
Thank you. Galaxy S9.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
Hare Krishna.
तस्मिन् वः उपशमशीलाः परममर्षाय सकलजीवान् निकाय वास्वा भगवती वसुदेवस्य भीतानां शरणभूतस्य श्रीमच्चराणविन्दवी रत्स्मरणवीगालिता परमभक्तियोगानुभावेन परिपाविता तान्तन तर्यद्गिगते भगवती सर्वेश भूतानां मात्यभूते प्रत्यगात्मेव येन वात्मसदात्मामि विशेषण समायुः। हरे कृष्ण माताजी। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Tasmin, in that Paramhansa ashram, you certainly ha so celebrated, va indeed upasama shila in the renounced order of life. Parama Rishaya, the great sages, Sakala, all, Jiva, of living entities, Nikai, in total, Ava Shashya, the residence, Bhagavataha, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudevasya, Lord Vasudev, Bhita Nam, of those afraid of material existence. Sharana Bhutasya, the one who is the only shelter. Shrimat, of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Charanaravinda, the lotus feet. Avirat, constantly, Smaran, remembering. Avigalita, completely uncontaminated. Parama, supreme, Bhakti Yoga, of mystic devotional service. Anubhavena, by the prowess. Paribhavita, purified. Antaha, within. Hridya, the heart. Adhigate, perceived. Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvesham, of all. Bhutanam, living entities. Atma Bhute, situated within the body. Pratyak, directly. Atmani, with the Supreme Supersoul. Eva, certainly. Atmanaha, of the self. Tadatmayam, qualitative equality. Avisheshena, without differences. Samihu, realized. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus situated in the renounced order from the beginning of their lives, all three of them completely controlled the activities of their senses and thus became great saints. They concentrated their minds always upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the resting place of the totality of living entities, and who is therefore celebrated as Vasudev. Lord Vasudev is the only shelter of those who are actually afraid of material existence. By constantly thinking of his lotus feet, these three sons of Maharaj Priyavrat became advanced in pure devotional service. By the prowess of their devotional service, they could directly perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul, and realize that there was qualitatively no difference between themselves and him. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So it's a very nice purport. Please, if you can pay attention. The Paramahansa stage is the topmost position in renounced life. In sannyas, the renounced order, there are 4 stages: Kutichaka, Bahudak, Parivragacharya, and Paramhans. According to the Vedic system, when one accepts the renounced order, he stays outside his village in a cottage, and his necessities, especially his food, are supplied from home. This is called the Kutichaka stage. When the sannyasi advances further, he no longer accepts anything from home. Instead, he collects his necessities, especially his food, from many places. This system is called Madhukari, which literally means the profession of the bumblebees. As bumblebees collect honey from many flowers, a little from each, so a sannyasi should beg from door to door, but not accept very much food from any particular house. He should collect a little bit from every house. This is called Bahudaka stage. When a sannyasi is still more experienced, he travels all over the world to preach the glories of Lord Vasudev. He is then known as Parivragacharya. The sannyasi reaches the Paramhans stage when he finishes his preaching work and sits down in one place strictly for the sake of advancing in spiritual life. An actual Paramhansa is one who completely controls his senses and engages in the unalloyed service of the Lord. Therefore, all three of these sons of Priyavrat, namely Kavi, Mahavir, and Shravan, were situated in the Paramhansa stage from the very beginning. Their senses could not disturb them, for their senses were completely engaged in serving the Lord. Therefore, the three brothers are described in this verse as Upasama Shila. Upashama means completely subdued. Because they completely subdued their senses, they are understood to have been great sages and saints. After subduing their senses, the three brothers concentrated their minds upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7 chapter verse 19, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. The lotus feet of Vasudeva are everything. Lord Vasudeva is the reservoir of all living entities. When this cosmic manifestation is resolved, all living entities enter the supreme body of Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who merges within the body of Mahavishnu. Both of these Vishnu Tattvas are Vasudev Tattvas, and therefore the great sages Kavi, Mahavir, and Shravan concentrated always upon the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva Krishna. In this way, they could understand that the Supersoul within the heart is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they could recognize their identity with Him. The complete description of this realization is that simply by discharging the unalloyed form of devotional service, one can realize his self completely. The Parama Bhakti Yoga mentioned in this verse means that a living entity, by dint of unalloyed devotional service, has no other interest than the service of the Lord. As described in Bhagavad Gita, Vasudev Sarvamiti, by Parama Bhakti Yoga, by elevating oneself to the highest platform of loving service, one can automatically be relieved from the bodily concept of life and see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Shanta Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yamasham Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. An advanced devotee who is known as Sat or Saint can always see within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, Krishna. Shyam Sundar expands himself by his plenary portion, and thus a devotee can always see him within his heart. Within the heart. Om Jnantimirandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshirunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishram Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahiyam Dadati Sapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastite. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishbhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pachayine Nirvisheshishnyavadi Paschatya Deshatayine. Let's read the verses 25, 26, 27. These are very nice verses. 25. The 10 sons of Maharaj Priyavrat were named Agnidhar, Idam Shiva, Yagnabahu, Mahavir, Hiranyareta, Grita Prashtha, Shravan, Medha, Tithi, Vittihotra, and Kavi. These are also names of Agni, the fire god. 3 among these 10, namely Kavi, Mahavir, and Shravan, lived in complete celibacy. Thus trained in brahmachari life from the beginning of childhood, they were very conversant with the highest perfection known as Paramahansa Ashram. Thus situated in the renounced order from the very beginning of their lives, all 3 of them completely controlled the activities of their senses and thus became great saints. They concentrated in mind always upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the resting place of the totality of living entities and who is therefore celebrated as Vasudeva. Lord Vasudeva is the only shelter of those who are actually afraid of material existence. By constantly thinking of his lotus feet, these 3 sons of Maharaj Priyavrat became advanced in pure devotional service. By the prowess of their devotional service, they could directly perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, and realize that there was qualitatively no difference between themselves and him. We are reading from 5th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, which is entitled as what? Are you still awake? It is entitled as
Activities of Maharaj Priyavrat.
Activities of Maharaj Priyavrat. And we are at the part of the chapter where Maharaj Priyavrat got married. What is the name of his wife and whose daughter is she?
Urjavati,
Bahishmati.
daughter of
She is
Prajapati
the daughter
Vishwakarma.
of Prajapati Vishwakarma.
Is the father-in-law, okay? And what's the name of the wife?
Bahishmati.
Urjavati.
Harishmati. Very nice. And then the question was raised in yesterday's verse that what made Maharaj Priyavrat enter from the change from the path of perfection to path of sense enjoyment. So what made Maharaj Priyavrat do that? Why did he leave his renounced order of life and enter Grihastha ashram?
He took as Lord's instructions because Brahma
Brahma's
told
order,
him.
okay, that's number
Brahma's
one.
order.
What else?
Set an
What else?
example.
Tell the householder out of
I
duty,
can't
sense of
understand.
duty.
Can you please raise your hand and you say? It's difficult over online. Mr. Fulla Mataji, go ahead.
He got married, accepted household life out of duty firstly, then to set an example to others, and to show how he follows Daivi Varnasrama.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. So basically, he accepted because it was Brahma's order, which was actually sent by Krishna himself, and then to set example for others, and then also to establish the Devi Varnashram system. And then here we are seeing that once somebody is married, they need to have children. So he had 10 sons and 1 daughter. And out of the 10 sons, 3 sons became complete brahmacharis from the very beginning of their life. What is it called? Nashtika brahmachari, never married. And it's not that they never married, so and then they were Prabhupada says bachelor daddy is not a concept. It's like, in today's world, if somebody hasn't married and they adopt a child, then they say, okay, I'm a bachelor, but or a bachelor daddy. But that's not what is happening here. Somehow that's not what a brahmachari is. It's a single father that we can say, but not a brahmachari. Brahmachari is a person who is trained in the knowledge of Brahman from the very beginning of life. Other than that, not somebody who's never married. That's one part of it, but not the complete wholesome. Okay, so don't get misled by today's modern dialects, because that's not what Shastras talk about. So it's not that they were brahmachari, so okay, they were just living single life. No, they are very busy in cultivating and controlling or subduing their senses. There's a sequence here, right? And what happened when they practiced celibacy throughout their life? Prabhupada says that the memory became very sharp. And that's what the secret of having good memory was initially in Satyuga, when there were no books. When only the verbatim of the teacher was enough for the students to catch, and they would just memorize it right away. So basically, in Kali Yuga, the memory is going down because the sense gratificatory activities is increasing. And this is happening even in somebody's house itself, right? There's these gadgets. I was studying one time, a few months ago, that frontal precortex is shrinking. They're doing functional MRIs on people who are very addicted to the devices and binge watching, mindless scrolling. And then they're recognizing that the frontal precortex, the part of the brain which is important in socializing, the function of socializing, is shrinking. That's what it was so scary for me to read that. So that's like, okay, that's like a functional part of the body, but spiritually also one shrinks when one is not careful in subduing one's senses. So you see the sequence here. The sequence is that look here, they all of them completely control the activities of their senses. So first is subduing the senses, then they are able to concentrate their mind always upon lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when I read that, it's like, okay, so if somebody is not able to concentrate their mind on the lotus feet of Krishna 24/7, then what is the problem? The problem is that the senses are not subdued. Okay, so senses are not subdued according to this particular verse. Because the senses are not controlled, they're let loose, so we're not able to concentrate the mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. And what is the importance of lotus feet of Krishna? Lotus feet of Krishna is the place, resting place of the totality of living entities, and who is therefore celebrated as Vasudev. And he is the only shelter of those who are actually afraid of material existence. This is another slash on a conditioned soul, you know. The language of Srimad Bhagavatam is very rhythmical, is very like uplifting, but it is a kind of a scolding that, you know, we are not afraid enough of material existence. That's why we take it for granted. That, okay, I have heard that my relation with Krishna cannot be changed. It is immutable. It is fixed. It is always there. Nothing can change it. All right. So I'll come back to it, but I want to come back to it. Let me go around and look for something else right now. So then we become very familiar. And what does familiarity do? What does familiarity do in a relationship? Familiarity, what is it?
Breeds
Contempt.
Contamination.
So familiarity breeds contempt. What does it mean? Familiarity breeds contempt. What does it mean?
Familiarity brings the taken for granted.
Yeah.
Taken for granted brings the relationship down.
Yeah. So we lose the value, right? Yeah, we lose the value. So we have to learn how to put a particular value of everything and every person in our life. I heard this from Jiti Shakti Mataji. So I really like it. We have to learn what is the value of my time, what is the value of other person's time, what is the value of my relation with this person, that person, this particular work I'm doing. So what is the value of my chanting in my life? If we are not putting a proper value, then we are devaluing it. Basically, we're taking it for granted. So because we do that with Krishna, this is my realization today. Earlier in the day, I was thinking that why is it so difficult to become Krishna conscious? Because Krishna consciousness is like the real constitutional position of the soul, and I am a soul, right? Everything else is like a covering. You can just keep on covering with the subtle body, covering with the gross body, and then the subtle and gross body take you around here and there. The philosophy is clear, right? To everyone in this class, the philosophy is crystal clear, right or wrong. I'm not the body, I'm the soul. And then I'm not even the subtle body, I'm not even the gross body, and I have somehow contacted this body, and I'm roaming around in this world under the three modes of material nature. Is it hard enough, or everyone knows about it?
Yes, everyone knows, but practical
So philosophy is clear. Philosophy is clear. But what makes application of the philosophy so difficult? I would like to hear from you. What makes application of the philosophy so difficult? Yes, because we don't have a training from the beginning of our life, how to subdue our senses, how to think of Krishna. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not dependent on anything. If I'm chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then it doesn't matter, you know, what background one is coming from. That Hare Krishna Mahamantra itself is enough for purifying. You don't have to go through the process of purification in any other fashion than chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Still, the application of philosophy is so difficult. According to this verse, the answer is because the senses are not subdued. And then, if you build on it, because the senses are not subdued, the mind is not able to concentrate at the lotus feet of Krishna. Then, who is able to concentrate the mind on lotus feet of Krishna? Who is actually afraid of this material existence? Which means I'm not actually afraid of material existence, which means I'm duplicious. So if we can be very nice people, we can have very nice education, very nice etiquette, very nice, whatever, nice. But if I'm not afraid of the material existence, not convinced that I am part and parcel of Krishna, and action speaks louder than words, right? Then I'm duplicious. Duplicity means I have something else to do in this world. There's something else that I'm trying to do. That's duplicity, which is actually for each and every conditioned soul. Okay, so we have to introspect and see that where are we in this puzzle of this journey? Where are we? Because Krishna's lotus feet are there. Krishna's name is there. Krishna's devotees are there. But what happens if if the senses are not subdued, then we start finding fault even in the association of devotees. You see, we do that also. Says, okay, this devotee is like that. They said that, he said that, she said that. It's not he said that, she said that. It's that my senses are not controlled. And I have something else to do. So I am giving an excuse in some manner or other. If the senses are subdued, then we will sing like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, right? Kita Janama Hoi. He's praying to Krishna that you can make me an insect if you want, my dear Lord, in the next life. But one request I have is that please make me an insect in the house of a devotee, so I can always remember you. So that's a devotee. He's not saying what kind of a devotee. A devotee who is singing your glories. A devotee whose house reminds me of you. Send me there even as an insect. So ISKCON, yes, we are growing as a movement now, but it went through a very difficult period, right? In 1980s and 90s, we went through a very difficult period where there was a lot of, this nitty-gritty of nudging between the devotees. But so far now we have, because of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra potency, because of Prabhupada's mercy, we're recognizing that that's not what Prabhupada wanted. So if we are doing that, even in the mind, we're doing that, then it's not the problem with the other person. The problem is with my own, my own senses. They're not subdued. I have something else, not able to concentrate my mind on Krishna because I'm not afraid of material existence. But these three devotees were Paramhansas from the very beginning. And of course, this is a technical definition of four stages of sannyas. And Prabhupada, we pray, right? Parivragachara Paramhansa. So Prabhupada traveled all over the world, and then Prabhupada was also Paramhansa. Hansa means what? What does Hansa mean?
Swan.
Hansa is a bird.
Swan.
Swan.
What is the quality of a swan? What's the
He
quality?
can separate water from milk.
Yeah.
He can
So
separate water from-
Paramhansa, yes, very nice. So Paramhansa is a swan which can separate water from milk. Thank you. So for Paramhansa, so which can separate material existence from the spiritual existence. Separate. We need that shelter. Otherwise, we're leading a very duplicitous life. You see? And how do we overcome that duplicity? How do we overcome that duplicity? The duplicity in our own life, where we are taking relationship with Krishna as being familiar and going around in the world to figure out something better because this thing is there anyway. How do we get rid of this duplicity, duality, gap between understanding philosophy and applying the philosophy? Yeah. How do we get rid of this? What are some of the things we can do?
By taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord.
How?
Completely.
Krishna's lotus feet are
reducing
not
the
the-
gap between the two, and ultimately creating a situation where there is no gap
How do
between
we
your
create that situation?
philosophy,
Association
and your action.
What Prem Prakash is Prabhu? What action?
Your philosophy and action both
Hmm.
should have no gap. They should be the same.
Oh, yeah, that's my question. How do we bridge that gap?
Mataji,
some of the ways?
association with pure devotees.
Transform
Yeah.
yourself.
Don't speak over. Let him finish. And let him hear his own voice, and then we'll come to everybody. Yes, Prem Prakash Prabhu.
Yeah. Mataji, the gap exists between these two. This gap has to be reduced. The only way to reduce the gap is transformation of the self, active participation, so that you try and read the philosophy, understand the philosophy, and put it into practice. Unless you transform yourself and put all this in practice, there is no fun in reading the books or reading Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning.
Thank you.
That's a ritual, but that ritual actually has to transform everyone that we all read together.
Thank you very much. Dr. Saxena, please go ahead. We were saying, and then Shubham
Mataji,
Patil.
I wanted to say that association of pure devotees, following regulative principles and chanting of Mahamantra, these are few steps towards the direction.
Thank you. Shubham Patil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, daily we need to pray to Krishna. That these are the things which are there in me. Please help me to overcome with these things.
Okay, by praying. Okay, very nice. Okay, praying and then associating with the devotees by following for regulatory principles and by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay, very nice. So, yeah, or all the things we mentioned, what is the most important thing? Of all the things, praying, understand philosophy, associating with devotees, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all of them are important, and following for regular principles, which is one thing which actually we do.
Srila Prabhupada has said that chanting is the most important thing. You leave everything else, but never miss a chanting.
Thank you. Thank you. But I say, yes, Prabhupada says different things in different elements. I have heard that associating with devotees is the most important. We lose enthusiasm to chant, enthusiasm to follow four regulatory principles, enthusiasm to read and discuss shastras if we don't have association. I was listening to Prabhupada's lecture today. He said that he has created all these temples across the globe so people can come and get a chance to hear about Krishna. It's the only reason why ISKCON is created. So many centers are there all over the world. I thought that was really profound. It was really, a conditioned soul. I will build a big house so people can come and adore my richness. That will be the consciousness. But here I was listening to Prabhupada, and it caught my attention, It actually caught my heart that Prabhupada is saying that he has built so many centers across the world so that people can get a chance to come and hear about Krishna's glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is a Paramhansa stage. That's like, that is what we studied in the verse before, that as a father undertakes so many austerities out of affection for children, the devotees or the Paramhansas, from being very affectionate, just as father sacrifices many things out of affection for his son, great saintly persons sacrifice all kind of bodily comforts for benefit of human society. Now, Prabhupada could have built a big house for his own family, but he did it for all of us. Just imagine. And we still have the gap of understanding and applying what we are actually understanding. So please, in this life, try to build the gap, try to bridge the gap. Don't let the life go and the gap still stays. No need. There's no need. At any time, we can decide that this is not how this story of my life is going to end. This is not how it's going to do. Because Krishna consciousness gives us that element of choice. If karma is a reaction, it's like a knee jerk. It's like a reaction. Put your hand in fire. There's only one thing which is going to happen, that the hand is going to get burnt. Right? Karma is like a reaction. But when one becomes a devotee of Krishna, then there is a gap between the reaction time and the response. So we can actually choose, because of our virtue of Krishna consciousness, because of our virtue of taking shelter of the parampara, as to how I'm going to go from here. Whatever happened, I can't do anything about it. It's Krishna's. I can only pray for Krishna's mercy, but not anymore. That's very interesting. Prabhupada says that in this verse, there's one thing which caught my attention was their senses could not disturb them. For their senses were completely engaged in serving the Lord. So our senses are very disturbing. Imagine living with a person who's always disturbing you, always complaining, always asking for something, always cribbing, always depending on you to do this, to do that. If you don't do, then gets upset. How would it be to live with such a person? How would it be? Oh, am I hanged?
Horrific.
Yeah, it'll be like choking, right? There'll be no air to breathe. So our own senses are like that. Just constant disturbance. I told you about Chiti Shakti, right? Chiti Shakti is a psychiatrist. So and she is very renowned for her work in spirituality and in psychiatry. She actually writes papers and is a chief of the board in National Health Services in UK. So she was saying that a lot of people, a lot of patients come to her with like, were very like distressed that in my house I am not respected. In my house, like the whole thing in my house, this relationship doesn't fulfill. I don't feel nurtured, or I feel like I'm blamed. I feel like it's not that they're wrong, but whatever she was saying one time, that people come like that. And she says, Prabhupada has taught us that for no material problem, the solution can never be material. The solution has to be spiritual. If we have to find a solution. She said, I asked her, how do you bring spirituality in psychiatry? She gave this example that when a person like that comes, they speak, and then she says, actually, you see, the basic problem here is that you are moving around, identifying yourself as being a part of this role that you're playing in a family. It impacts you so much. Why does it impact? Because you're seeing yourself as a daughter of somebody, or as a wife of somebody, as a son of somebody, as a husband of somebody. So that impacts you so much. But you have to start looking at yourself with something else, as something else. So she actually got like, wow, this is so nice. If I don't recognize myself as this, then how easy the life will be. Do you get that? Like, if I don't get absorbed and recognize myself with that particular role that I'm playing, if somebody comes and says something, it doesn't really like cause any turbulence. It doesn't cause any disturbance. I stay fixed because I'm playing a role. Like for example, an actor is playing a role of somebody, some actor, or some character on the play. But does that person get affected by it, and that's how they lead their life? Does whatever characters they have in that particular role, and whatever relationships are made in that particular role, will the actor be so much impacted by it for the rest of their life, or will they
No,
be able to?
Mataji. No, Mataji. As soon as he comes out of the stage,
Role.
he will be out of the role, then he'll be his normal self, like
So it'll be
what
right. So
he's.
like that, like, so okay, I'm playing the role, but that needs a very big sadhana. We are weak in sadhana. We are weak in, if we can enrich our sadhana, because the process is perfect. We have entire recipe for success, but the endeavor is a little bit lagging. And we are so weak that actually I can give excuses on it. Like, I didn't do it because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. And why is it happening? What is the core reason? Because I'm not scared enough of the material existence. Yeah, it's scary, but not that bad, My bed is soft. I have a house. I have money. I'm like eat food. I have good friends. I have a good social recognition. And yeah, it's dangerous, somewhere in the world there is war going on, or the plane has fallen, or in US, you could have heard, like 2 days ago, Baltimore Bridge fell down after being hit by the ship, right? So, but that's there. It's not mine. We're not scared. Okay, so understand that how to bridge this gap by reading this pastime. Understand that how to bridge this gap between what we are reading and understanding and how we are actually leading our life. Can we not be so duplicitous? And how can we be not duplicitous? By controlling our senses. How can we control our senses? By becoming really scared and of the material existence and associating with the devotees. Make it a point to associate with the devotees. Okay, if we can't associate with devotees, then we are not scared. It's taken for granted because I'm not looking for help. Remember, we read in Mana Siksha also that the 6 enemies or 6 robbers who are there on the shining path of bhakti, who are ready with their nooses to tie our neck. Who is Agnat Das Goswami asking to for asking help to get rid of those 6 robbers on the shining path of bhakti?
Commanders of Krishna's army.
Who? Okay, yes. Yeah, okay, very nice. And what is Krishna compared to there? Like how is Krishna addressed?
Destroyer of Baka.
Yes, so the killer of. So the army commanders of Krishna, or army generals of Krishna, who is the killer of Baka. And Baka represents what? Bakasura was representing what? That demon?
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy.
All our actions, yes.
Hypocrisy represents hypocrisy. So then there Raghunath Goswami taught us, right? Associate with devotees. Don't lag behind, not just virtually. Get up and go to the devotees where they are. One day it was raining, okay? And I was thinking, so Gita Nagri is 2 hours away from where I live. And my work is 40 minutes away. So I was thinking, it's raining. Maybe I should not go to Gita Nagri because it's raining. It's 2 hours drive in such rain. Will not be so comfortable. But then the counter thought which came by Krishna's mercy was, if I had to go to work, will I give this excuse that I'm not going to go because it's raining? I'll still go. I'll still drive in the rain or snow, for that matter. Then why am I finding an excuse to go to Gita Nagri? So, because the laziness hits us. Why? Why to go? We get a Zoom association. So please make an effort to go. You can still plan, right? Janmashtami time in August, you can go to Bangalore. Go. Get up and go. Needs to go. If we don't want to go anywhere else, again in our life, then go to the devotees and associate with them. Any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections, chanting, preaching others, association with devotees? Okay. Thank you, Mataji. I'm reading the message now.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
One thing you said, karma is like a reaction. So you explained something, but I missed it somehow. So when we become Krishna conscious, the gap between the action and reaction, what it increases? What did you say? Just I missed it.
Then we have a choice how we are going to respond to that reaction. There's a choice. There's a choice that how are we gonna respond? Am I going to succumb to the reactions of my karma? We have so many examples. We have Prabhupada's example. Of course, Prabhupada's life is not karma, but Prabhupada, when his factory burnt and he was forced to take sannyas, Prabhupada says he could understand that this was Krishna's play. Of course, that's not a karma. That's like Krishna's direct intervention. But we have a choice. Let's say something happens to a devotee. Okay, and then they say, okay, Actually, there was a devotee I heard 2 years ago. Oh my God, I don't remember his name. Grahastha Vision team. There was this devotee who got cancer in the larynx. Okay, and then it was in the last stages of his life. And then he released this video because we were all very like worried, right? So he released this video on the internal circle, and I heard him saying that, you see, this is very painful for me, yes, but I have full faith that this is the best for me under Krishna's supervision at this time. So please, it's okay for you to be sad for my condition, but please don't lose your focus in just becoming sad, because this is the best thing that can happen to me at this time under Krishna's supervision. So instead, you can pray for me to remember Krishna. You see, this is a devotee. He said that. I saw the video, and we're all like so moved by that. Will a karmi say like that? Prem Prakash Adas Prabhu, you get bone cancer patients, right?
Yes, Mataji.
So they are like, yes, of course, like it's a very painful situation, bone cancer. But do they pray like that? This is the best for me right now, under supervision of Krishna?
No, Mataji. No. If possible, they would like to curse. They all suffer so much, painful, and then tears and trying to beg for medicines. It's not something that one would look forward to, no.
Yeah, even we would not look forward for that kind of a life, but we have a reaction. I mean, we have a choice to respond how I'm going to react to this, just brought by some karmic reaction. Yes, it is the result of a mature karma. But how do I respond to it is in my hands now, because I'm on this journey of Krishna consciousness. If I derail myself from this journey, I don't have any option other than just succumb. You understood, Sureka Mataji? Did it make sense?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
In fact, Mataji, my father used to say, I'm saying this again, he used to say a very nice story. When I, as a child, would ask him, he would say that whenever there is action around you, there is always a lot of dust in the air. And so when the action happens, you can't see the picture clearly. Sit down, let the dust settle down and sit down. When the dust also sits down, you get a clear picture, and then you decide what you want to do. You will be most of the time right. So impulsive actions are the actions which always we regret later on.
Yes. Very nice. Thank you for sharing.
There was a movie in the good olden days, Guns of Navarone, and Gregory Peck and Anthony Quinn were the heroes. And those were the days when the Hollywood was making a lot of Second World War movies. And this was one of the very famous movie, Guns of Navarone. It was a military mission, and most of the people who went for this action dies. 2 people survive, of course, both heroes. They survived, and they were interviewed and asked, how did you survive? And both of them answered simultaneously, I was bloody damn afraid all the time. So it's always afraid. If you are afraid of the material world, then you certainly would like to keep your senses quiet. And to keep your senses quiet, you will definitely control your mind. And if you do that, you are going towards the spiritual part. So getting afraid of the material world is a very important thing. As we say, all the things happen from desires. Similarly here, if you really want to detach from the material world, then you've got to get afraid of the material world, to quieten down your senses, to quieten them. At least you can control the mind. So that sequence works out very well all the time. Hare Krishna.
Very nice.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare
Yes,
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji. May I just add one thing? Namanishta Prabhuji says that if you chant your 16 rounds very nicely in the morning, then you are like wearing a kavach against the material energies. So if you chant very properly in the morning, then you are protected from the material energy. Just
In
I
fact,
remember.
Mataji says the same thing. 5 a.m. chanting is protection at 9 a.m.
Yeah. 5 a.m. consciousness for 9 a.m. I forgot what it was. 5 a.m. consciousness.
I always remember that
9
sentence
a.m.
of yours.
Reality.
No, 9 a.m. Okay, 9 a.m. reality. Thank you. No, Prabhupada used to say, he was asked, what do you feel when you chant 16 rounds? Anybody knows what Prabhupada answered? What do you feel? What do you feel when you chant 16 rounds, Prabhupada? He said, I feel. Nobody said, I feel fearless. No fear. That's what Prabhupada said. But of course, that's Prabhupada's chanting. Thank you. I think we can finish the Manasiksha tomorrow then. It's late. Thank you very much. If there is no other question, reflection, realization, or correction, Prabhu, you'll stop the live stream.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your august presence. Anchakalpatarabhyascha, kripasindhubhya eva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavin ki jai, Shabapati ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.